But Margaret, it's so good to have you with us. Would you introduce yourself to the students?
Thank you, Glenn. It's so good to be with you guys. I just want to pray blessings over you and over your ministry. Gosh, I've been at Stanford for so many years. I moved to California from Texas in '89, so before all of you were born, and started ministry on campus. Did that for like 12 years working with students. And so I just have a heart for Stanford. I love what God has done on that campus historically. And I know that he's going to just bring another generation of prayer warriors, of mighty women and men of God. So blessings to you guys.
Margaret, I'm so excited to have you with us. So some of you might know Margaret as the lady who hosts our Christmas party every year, which, by the way, you are phenomenal at. You have an amazing gift of hospitality that you have cultivated through the years. It's really, really beautiful. What you might not realize is that Margaret was on staff with us at Cal for many years. And before that, she led a ministry at Stanford for many years also. Then the Lord led her into a different season of life. And among other things, what Margaret has done is she's just written a book called Gracious Living. And so, Margaret, I was wondering if you could talk to us about that a little bit. Why did you write a book, and why did you call it Gracious Living?
Whew. Well, you know, when God puts something on your heart and it just feels like this is what I'm supposed to do. And I've always wanted to write a book, even from when I was a kid, but I never knew what it would be on. And then one morning I woke up when I was working with you, Glenn. It was in March, and I just woke up and instantly I felt like God said, you're done working at Stanford. I want you to write. And so I started it, but you know how sometimes you start something in your own power. I could not spit 5 sentences out. I mean, I just could not make it happen. And God just brought every ingredient of what I needed to write. So he put that dream in me. And then he also brought the resources, the people, the ideas that I needed to make it happen. You know, the Andersons, Deborah and Jeremy Anderson and Chi Alpha, she had a dream that I wrote a book called Gracious Living, and that God used it, especially on campuses. She was so touched by her dream. It was so vivid to her that she made these like canvas bags. I wish I had one to show you, but she made these bags that said Gracious Living and came over and said, you know, I had this dream. You wrote a book called Gracious Living, and I made this so that you have this visual anchor in front of you. And that was really what started me on writing down exactly what I felt God was saying and what he was doing. The subtitle is Creating a Culture of Honor, Love, and Compassion. And, you know, in every situation that our country is in right now, and in the past, I just feel like now is the time that we each have to intentionally choose to create a culture of honor. We're not living in that culture now. And it's up to us as individuals to make that in every encounter, every circle that we're in. We can choose what atmosphere we create.
That is beautiful. Could you talk more about what you mean by culture of honor and what it would look like for us to live in that?
Well, I think Christians and non-Christians would agree that we're all constantly creating. So each one of us, even if you say, oh, I'm not a creative person, but each one of us is creating all the time. And I see that very much as one of the ways we're made in the image of God, that he's given us this beautiful privilege that we create. You know, I can create chaos or peace. In my home, I can create strife. You know, I can wake up on the wrong side of the bed, fly around on a broom, yell at everybody, and you know, it could get ugly. I can create that. Or I can choose to have self-control, to be a mindful, peaceful person, and then usher in an atmosphere of peace in my home. Um, ways there's just so many small ways that we create the atmospheres around us and in relationships. Um, Glenn, you'll appreciate this with kids, and if you're married, you can create the temperature of your relationship. Your kids are studying your face to see, you know, is dad in a good mood today? Is he in a bad mood? You know, is this a good time to ask for my allowance? You know, and as we create these atmospheres, small methods make a difference. I noticed I had some tension with my kids when they were in junior high, and I started calling them names like my love and darling and sweetheart. And I call my son big guy and hey handsome. And just that one little linguistic decision changed the atmosphere from one of tension to one of kindness and gentleness and affection. So I just think in every relationship we're in, we can create what's the atmosphere, what's the temperature. And our goal as Christ followers is to be a blessing. We're to give light and love in every encounter that we can. So I think that it's a fun adventure doing that.
So when I think of you, Margaret, one of the things that comes to my mind is I think of you as a very wise person. Lord has just given you the ability to see beneath the surface in so many areas. Um, I'm curious, you've been a student of the Stanford environment and culture and students for many, many years. What are some things that now that you've got separation, you wish more Stanford students, especially undergrads, appreciated?
You know, I wrote about that in the book, and I've had a number of college students message me, and the whole range of, I struggle with this, or this is really convicting, or I really want to interact more on this. And it's the idea, well, I'll back up the story in my book. A college student from Stanford was at my house for dinner, and we had talked. We had a lovely time. And then the subject came up. She said, I could never be friends with someone who said there should be a wall. And I laughed and I said, that is, and forgive me. Oh, you can edit that. But the truth is, no one in my generation would ever utter that sentence. And you look at the Supreme Court justices, you've got Scalia and Ginsburg, couldn't be further apart politically. They are on opposite ends politically. They vacation together in the summers. Their families have dinners and they take trips together. They're friends. Opposite ends politically, but friends. And that is what I am missing. In the recent days at Stanford, I feel like, is there no curiosity and is there no humility to say, oh, how did you come to that decision? How did you come to believe that? What was that like for you? How strongly do you believe that? How important is that to you? You know, just a curiosity and a humility that, is it possible that I may not know the only way to run a country? You know, there's PhDs on all sides, brilliant people who have given their life's work to study things like immigration or discrimination or all of these things. So it's it's just, I wish we had a little more humility toward one another and kindness and grace for one another. I think it's going to take your students, Glenn, it's going to be a big muscle that they're going to develop that will be different from the culture we're in.
What are some things God's been speaking to you lately? I know that you regularly post devotional thoughts. What's some of the stuff God's been birthing in your heart?
Oh my gosh, today. I mean, today was bomb. So here's the thing I'm wondering about, and I don't know if I'm going to blog about this because I just don't know how I would. But anyway, what I have wondered is, are there blessings and favor and encouragement that God has for us, and He is waiting for an act of obedience on our part to dispense them? And what happened for me today, this is a small decision, but I think it's one, we all relate to. We have decisions we have to make. So I am trying to decide whether to hire a publicist to help with marketing my book. All my other decisions about my book, my editor, my publisher, the blog, everything, I've really felt that I prayed about it and God brought it. And it very much felt like an answer. But this publicist thing, to me, feels like woe to those who go to Egypt for their help. That scripture, it's like, woe to you, you run to Egypt because they have these advanced systems instead of turning to the Lord. So I prayed about it, and it was this morning that I just said, God, this does not feel right. My publisher is saying, oh, you have to do this. It's the only way. But it does not seem like what God is doing. So I made the decision today to say no to the publicist. In my quiet time, I'm just, I felt pretty vulnerable, I would say, with the Lord. And I came on Psalm 25. The prayer is, show me your ways, Lord. Teach me your paths. Guide me in your truth and teach me, for you are God, my Savior, and my hope is in you all day long. And that was just the prayer of my heart. And I was like, yes, God, show me your ways, Lord. If this worldly way of marketing is not the way for me, Lord, I trust you, and show me what to do. Glenn, 10 minutes later, you text me and say, oh, I want you to, let's do that Zoom call. I got a call from a church that said, we want you to come speak in October. Another Chi Alpha group texted, say, I'd like you to speak on our campus in San Diego in November. And then another campus texted me and said, can you send us 20 books for our women's Bible study? All of that was in a span of an hour. And I guess my sense is, would all of that have happened if I had said, yeah, I'm going with the publicist? I don't know. The heart of the king is like a river, and the Lord turns it in the way he wishes. He could easily turn all of those people to go, yeah, I'm going to wait on that. So I wonder today, are there blessings? Are there ways he wants to pour goodness into our lives? He's waiting if we'll be obedient to what he says.
Margaret, that's good. I often, in that regard, think about Peter on the boat. Jesus said, come walk to me. And people like to bag on Peter because he only walked a few steps, which is way more than I've walked on the water. But I think the water was ready to receive his weight. But there was that moment where he had to transfer his center of balance, where he was on the boat and his leg was supported by the boat to where he put his weight on the water. And you can't half do that. You either commit or you don't, and the water holds you up or it does not. And you don't know until you transfer your trust, till you commit and shift and engage. I think that's good, Margaret. That's good. So another question for you. You're the mother of several college-age children now. What, as a mom, would you like to say to students that you wish that they would bear in their minds as they're going about these next few years of life?
Man, that's a great question, Glenn. Well, I just dropped my son off at Baylor, and gosh, it was so powerful just praying for him. Our whole family just came around and prayed for him and blessed him. And that night he was on the news in Texas. Because there was a reporter saying that students at Baylor were the outrage of they were playing spike ball and not wearing masks. And you could see my son's big red afro. I thought, way to go, man. Oh, it's so funny. He's blessed and favored, and he is gonna, God has already brought him to the people he needs to meet. He told me he found a church Sunday morning, hasn't been to in-person church in 6 months, and was just deeply, deeply touched by God. I would say, if you will walk in obedience to the Lord, if you'll be, tender to what he's saying, he is going to walk you right in to the right places at the right time with the right people. He'll put favor on your life. And, some things will be funny, like getting on the news for the wrong thing, or, but his favor is on you and it can't be argued with. I would encourage, and my 3 daughters are out of college now. So Brooke just graduated from USC this year. But, all 3 of them, I urged them to find your own walk with God. Find what works for you. Like I've always had my time with him in the morning. Well, you may want to do that a different way. And they each found a vibrant Christian fellowship on campus. They found the friends that nurtured the best part of them. And they learned, hey, there's people here that bring out the worst in me. And so I need to really put boundaries on those relationships and make a decision of where to invest. So I know your students invest carefully, and from what I've seen at Stanford, wisely. So I would pray blessings on that and encourage them to. I think now is the time to make a difference. I really do. If you have not shared your faith in a genuine way in the first week of school, I'd say you're hiding. Get out. I mean, now is the time. Not too long ago, I said to good friends of mine, successful, smart people that I adore, and we've been friends for a while. And I said to them, you guys, I don't feel like I would be a true friend if I did not talk to you about my love for Jesus and the difference he's made in my life. Can I take 20 minutes to just spell out for you why I'm a Christian? It's not a popular thing to be these days, but it is the anchor of my life. It is the joy of my life to know Jesus and to hear him and know what he's saying. Can I take 20 minutes to just tell you why and how I made that decision? And my two, atheist friends were like, Margaret, absolutely. Yeah, why did you, and how did you make that decision? And we had the most genuine conversation. And that's what I think we need to be doing right now. Does that make sense?
That makes amazing sense. And I was literally about to ask you to give us some advice on sharing your faith, because you're one of the most natural evangelists that I know. So thank you for sharing that. Well done. Margaret, I guess I want to close by just asking you, so this book, Gracious Living, who is the target audience? Who do you hope reads it? Who will benefit the most? And how can they get a copy of it?
Okay, that's easy. So target, honestly, college and women. I mean, forgive me, like several times I refer to us God gals, although I've had several men tell me that they have loved my book and they are a God's guy. So that's fine. But yeah, I was really aiming at college because I just think these are foundational years. And before you get married, before you've got kids, to really anchor in your faith and what it means to live it out. So if you want to buy the book, it's on margaretallen.org or graciouslyvingbook.com. So you can buy it on my website. And I think by mid-September, you can get it on Amazon as well. The Kindle version is on Amazon right now, but if you want the paper, either go to margaretallen.org or wait for Amazon.
Margaret, thank you so much for the time. It's always a joy to connect with you. You have left a legacy in many people's lives at Stanford, and there will be fruit born for decades to come. And I just can't wait to see what God continues to do in and through your life in this next season. May God bless you and your entire family. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Glenn. God bless you guys.